Earlier, I asked the question to ChatGPT, how can I locate startup companies that are hiring? And let me share the response that I received. Online job boards, websites like AngelList, Indeed, and Glassdoor, networking events, social media, startup directories, incubators and accelerators, job fairs, cold outreach. Remember to tailor your resume and cover letter to highlight your skills and experience that are relevant to the startup industry. Good luck with your job search. I wonder, do I need to worry that ChatGPT is going to replace me as a career coach? So if you're new to the channel, my name is Bill Benoist. I'm a certified professional career coach here in Silicon Valley. This video is going to be a little bit different in format. It's not going to be so much a talking head with B-rolls going across, but mainly I'm going to be sharing my screen and giving you specific ways that you can identify startup companies out there. And I'm going to go a little bit different route than what ChatGPT has advised us to do. Number one, you do have to use some of the online job boards to identify where these companies are, but I don't think going through Indeed or LinkedIn is the right way. And number two, which is probably even more important, and that is you're really going to have to start networking. Now, one final thing before we begin this journey, and that is I know this channel is primarily for individuals in mid to late career professionals. I got to say that my research, startup companies are not all that friendly to older workers. Not saying that it's impossible. In fact, it's very possible if you're a senior executive in the C-suite that probably have really good chances of landing there because they're going to want more experience. But the main thing is that it could be a younger person's game, but again, it's not impossible. So with that said, let me go ahead and start this process and show you how I would go about identifying and networking with people at startup companies. I think before we actually start searching for startup companies, we need to understand what exactly is and is not a startup company. So a startup company is not a small business and it's not a sole entrepreneur. There really is no hard and fast rule of what is and what's not a startup company, but traditionally, and this is pretty much accepted by the industry, and that is a 50-100-500 rule. And this states that if a startup achieves scale, and scale is a key word in this, it is no longer considered a startup. So while scale differs from company to company, the 50-100-500 rule is a popularized standard of scale for startups. And essentially what this is saying is that the enterprise's revenue exceeds 50 million, 100 or more employees are employed, and the enterprise is valued at 500 million or more. So you have now kind of an idea of what a startup is. And that's what I would be really focused on if you're looking for the position would be nothing less than 50 employees. So I would look, I think the sweet spot there is 50 to 100 employees. I've heard that is usually a safe bet that the company is becoming successful. I mean, there's no guarantees in this world, but 50 plus seems to be a magic number, the research that I've done. So now that we know exactly how to identify or how to understand what a startup is, let's go out and try and find some. So ChatGPT talked about using Glassdoor or LinkedIn or Indeed to find startup companies. I believe that one of the better ways to do it is venture capital firms, because venture capital firms are the ones that are funding the startup companies. And we got a couple of different options there as far as we can start networking with some of the venture capital people as well as the firms that they represent. And most of these venture capital firms will have job boards on their website of the companies that they are supporting. So how do we find the venture capital firms? We'll just use Google. There we go. And scroll down. I think there's a list down here. Yep. 21 top venture capital firms in the world. I've gone through all of these. I think all of them do have job boards on them. Let me just go with Sequoia Capital because I just want to show you how this actually works. I like this one because it has kind of a cool website, but you can find pretty much the job boards on all of them. And copy here, and I'm going to go back to Google. And here is our team right here. Oh, I saw there was a filtered jobs, but I wanted to actually wanted to show you their website because it is really a nice website there. You can learn a lot about this right here. Some of the companies that they represent out here, there's a lot of them, or that they're coming from. Our team. These are the investors here. This is really good too, because you can take some of these individuals here and actually look them up on LinkedIn itself and say, hey, Alfred, I'm actually somebody that's very interested in looking for a position as such and such out there and wanted to connect with you for anything that might be on your radar, current or future, something like that. But let's just go into, let's take Alfred for example. We're going to go in here and we'll see. He actually has his backstory there on the lookout for a personal side, but as we scroll down, here's some of the current companies that he is supporting. Now I like this over here, first partnered with this. So this does show that not a lot of activity over here. I'm looking for something that would be a little bit more current. Pre-seed 2022, turnkey. I would like to see something 23 or 24. Let's see if we can find another one here on this. We'll scroll down. But this is really interesting stuff. I mean, you can definitely go through and find some things in here. Here's one, 2023, Oasis Security. Oasis is the first enterprise platform for non-human identity management. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Let's just take a look at what they have there. So now what I'm going to do is edit, copy, and I'm going to go over to LinkedIn, and I'm going to go in here. I'll do a clear there. I'm going to put this in right there, paste that in, and it looks like it's probably, well, we're going to just hit enter. And Oasis Security, 4,000. Oasis is the market-leading platform for non-human identity management. Look at this, 11 to 50 employees. This is your startup right here. You can take a look at the people that are working there. This is really interesting. This is something that I would encourage you to do as well, and that is look for any second connections. So I've never even heard of this company before, so I know I'm not going to have any first connections, but I definitely have some second connections in there. No first, but I have some second connections. There's a gentleman from Sequoia right there that is probably on this. I think I would actually write to him directly. He's probably one that would definitely be an influence out there. And now what I would do is I would just simply go to, I'm going to bring up this guy right here, and I'm not going to follow him. I'm actually going to click on this, and I'm going to go over to more, and I'm going to connect with him. And I'm going to add a note and say, hello, Bogomo. I am a senior project manager currently exploring new opportunities with startups, and I would love to get on your radar for any current or future needs. Best wishes to you, and then I would send it. I would do something like this. That's one way to network right there, okay? Start to finish looking at your venture capital firms, but we're not done yet. We're not done yet, but this is one way to network right off the bat. Another way, and remember I said networking is key on this. And another thing that I found in my research is that the job process at startup companies takes a lot longer than the typical job process. I mean, it could take 4 or 5, 6, even 6 months landing from the time that they start reviewing your resume to the time that there's an actual opening. Now, I know a lot of people don't really have that kind of time, but if you really want to get in with a startup company, start looking now, because it may be something that will fulfill for you in the next 4, 5, 6 months. And the reason for this, if you think about it, a startup is growth, right? They're always going to need more and more and more people. So they're going to be keeping a tight tab on those resumes. So you may write this gentleman here and get an interview right off the bat, but might not hear anything for a while. But that doesn't mean that you've been disregarded for somebody else or anything. It just means that you might be kind of in that yes pile for when it's needed. So this is one way of networking. Here's another way of networking. They talked about on ChatGPT about going to networking events and such. I would look at Meetup. So most cities and counties in the United States, even abroad, have meetup groups. And let me show you something here. So this is Alviso, California. I'm going to just change this to San Jose, and I'm going to type in startup. Startup school, fundraising basics for startups, legal basics for startup, digital marketing for startups, startups mix and pitch. There's all kinds of startup meetup events that you can start attending. And these are great opportunities to start talking with individuals that are either working for startups right now, looking for help with startups, or people that are just in the know. So definitely use Meetup as one of your resources out there. Final thing that you can do, I'm going to go back to LinkedIn, and that is how to find recruiters, but that are just basically representing startups. So I'm going to type in recruiters, and I'm going to go to people when this comes up. See all people, and I got a little over 2 million. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to all filters, and I'm going to put in a keyword here all the way down, and guess what that keyword is going to be? And it's under title, by the way. I'm going to put in startup, and I'm going to hit show results, and I brought it down to 564, and we see some startups here. I'm going to go back to all filters again, and I'm going to do a couple of more things. Let's see here. I'm going to do location, San Francisco Bay Area, and hit show results. 55, and so controllers, searches, startups. A lot of these are individuals that are working specifically for startup companies here, or they primarily are placing individuals for startups. So that's another way to do it. And again, just like before, what I would do is I would look first at your first connections. It's interesting, I do have a first connection there. Not certain who that is. If you're watching this video, Prakash, actually I do remember who you are. On that, I'd probably go with him, but let me just go back to second connections. I probably have a lot more second connections, yeah, so I don't know some of these individuals here, but I would go down and know the people below this, and these are the ones that I would be contacting. As I see, I've got a lot of individuals here that I would know. Look at that, I got 3 different pages there. John, know very, very well, that I would go ahead and contact him. There's a couple others out there. Okay, so now you know how to research and identify these startup companies. You know how to do some networking out there. The next step is actually interviewing, and there's going to be a good chance that you're going to be interviewing with one of the founders or CEOs or something, because these companies are really small. And if that's the case, I want you to watch this video right here on interviewing with senior level executives and what you can expect they're going to be asking you.